Happy Twintober! All of the videos for the month of October will be based on the classic Universal Studio monsters, starting the month off with mummies. All over the world, mummies were used to preserve our loved ones. However, that practice died with the ancient Egyptians. Today, the thought of someone creating a mummy is just downright creepy. Here is our list of 3 disturbing modern-day mummies. Russian historian Anatoli Moskvven was known in his community as a genius fluent in 13 languages. In 2011, they would learn something else about the man, that he was a grave-robbing body snatcher. After an investigation of the desecration of 150 graves, police discovered 26 mummified corpses of girls between the ages of 3 and 15 years old in the home of Moskvven shared with his parents. He called them his dolls. Born and raised in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, Moskvven was fascinated with death and the occult from a very young age. He claims that his interest in death started when he was 12. He witnessed the funeral procession of an 11-year-old girl and was made to kiss the corpse's waxy forehead. Moskvven said that he worked on his dolls for 10 years, visiting over 700 cemeteries to find what he was looking for. Once he exhumed the corpses, he would bring them home and cake the bodies in salt and baking soda. After they were dry, he stuffed the bodies with padding, then wrapped the limbs in long strips of cloth. Some of the bodies had wax-painted masks with decorated faces. He would even hold birthday parties for his dolls. When asked why he would do such a horrible thing, Moskvven said that he had a great sympathy for children and wanted to bring them back either by using science or black magic. And although he knew he was committing a crime, he said that the little girls called out to him and begged to be rescued. At the court hearing, Moskvven even addressed the parents and said, "You abandoned your girls in the cold, and I brought them home and warmed them up." He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and declared unfit for trial. To this day, Moskvven remains in a mental hospital. Ever since Carl Tanler was a child, he dreamed of a beautiful dark-haired woman that would be the love of his life. When he met her in 1930, he wouldn't let her go, even after death. Tanler worked as an X-ray technician in a Marine hospital in Key West when he met Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos. She was brought to the hospital to treat her tuberculosis, and 51-year-old Tanler was immediately smitten by the 21-year-old beauty. In the 30s, there was no real cure for tuberculosis, and so Tanler concocted homemade tonics and medicine, and even brought over his X-ray equipment from the hospital and treatments that would never work. He showered Elena with lavish and expensive gifts, while declaring his everlasting love. All of his efforts would be for naught, as Elena would succumb to her illness on October 25, 1931. Tanler convinced her family to allow him to bury their daughter. Grief-stricken, he had her entombed in an expensive mausoleum that he paid for out of pocket. Possessing the only key, he visited Elena's grave every night for 2 years. He claimed he heard her singing to him in Spanish, begging to be taken away. He exhumed her remains and brought them home, and then reconstructed his beloved corpse using coat hangers, plaster of Paris, and mortician wax. He continued to shower Elena with gifts and bought the corpse expensive perfumes and new clothes regularly. His obsession with her was so great that he had sex with the corpse on a regular basis. As the years went on, rumors began spreading about Carl's behavior of buying women's clothing and even spotted dancing with a doll inside of his home. In October 1940, Elena's sister Florinda became suspicious of Tanler because he stopped visiting her sister's mausoleum and the rumors of him having a doll resembling Elena. Florinda alerted the police over Tanler's suspicious behavior. The police would discover that the doll was actually Elena's mummified corpse. Tanler was charged with wantonly and maliciously destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. The news of his trial was a national sensation. Elena's corpse was even put on public display by a local funeral home. It would later be reburied in an unmarked grave. Tanler never stood trial, however, as the statute of limitations for the crime expired. Tanler never quite outgrew his obsession and kept a wax effigy of Elena. In 1952, he was found dead in Pasco County, Florida in his home, clutching his Elena de Hoya effigy. Born in 1880, Elmer McCurdy was a failed bank and train robber from Washington, Maine. He was known for incorporating nitroglycerin in his robberies and by all accounts bungled his crimes by either using too little or too much of the liquid to actually be effective. In March 1911, McCurdy moved to Oklahoma. In his short criminal career, he robbed 3 trains, once using too much nitroglycerin in a sealed train doors in an attempt to steal $4,000. The explosion destroyed the vast majority of the money, and he and his group of 3 other men were only able to get $460. His last robbery was in October 1911, when he was able to get only $46, 2 bottles of whiskey, and a revolver. He was later gunned down by a sheriff posse. Even in death, McCurdy couldn't catch a break. After his body was embalmed with arsenic by a local funeral home, and because no one claimed the body, the morticians put McCurdy's body on display to the public. Now billed as the bandit that wouldn't give up, McCurdy's corpse made the funeral home a substantial profit. One day, a man claiming to be McCurdy's brother from California called the funeral home to claim the body. The man was actually James Patterson, a traveling carny who had heard about McCurdy and wanted the mummified corpse as his star freak show attraction. McCurdy's body would travel all over the country with different carnivals. Eventually, it would find its final home as a funhouse prop at New Pike Amusement Park in Long Beach, California. It wasn't until 1976 that the bandit would be rediscovered. While filming for scenes of the TV show The $6 Million Man, someone went to move what they thought was a prop, only for the hand to snap off. The LA County Coroner's Office was notified, and after an investigation, they discovered that the mummy that hung on the noose was actually Elmer McCurdy. His remains were shipped back to Oklahoma, where he received a proper funeral. Hi everyone, this is the Twin Files. We hope you enjoyed the video. This is our first in our Halloween special, Twintober, where we'll be using real-life examples of classic Universal movie monsters. Don't forget to like or subscribe our videos, and don't forget to comment. Thanks again for watching.